What does the next cult mean? There is no cult. Shut the fuck up. Oh, I'm sorry. I lost my composure there for a second. You must be confused for someone else. There is no cult. There is no cult. Best engines. So, if you guys don't know what an engine is, an engine in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a card or a series of cards, usually a series of cards that you add to a deck in order to make it better. Generally, you can play a whole deck full of engines, as long as the engines can work with each other. We're going to rate all of these engines exactly how they should be made. I have to do this introduction for YouTube, by the way, in case you guys didn't understand that. Because this stream only exists as an avenue in order to post clips, because the clips are much more profitable than the stream. So, first up, we have Aleister the Invoker. Aleister is a 1-card combo piece. What Aleister does is when it is normal summoned, you get to add a invocation card from your deck to your hand, which allows you to fusion summon with cards in the graveyard. So if your opponent has a card in the graveyard, you can use it too. And Aleister can go into a whole bunch of wonderful cards. Normally what you do is you go into Almirage and then secure Gardna, and then you use those in order to go into Mechaba, and then you recycle the cards and you do it again your next turn. It is an excellent engine if you can use your normal summon. It has carried so many decks to competitive success. It's D tier, it's garbage. Oh, elaborate why it's D tier? Oh, because adventure is better. If you're gonna use a normal summon, you want the adventure engine instead. That's why, so it's garbage. It's absolute terrible. You shouldn't be playing. If you play Aleister, people are gonna laugh at you for being dumb. They're like, why don't you just play the adventure engine, you idiot, you moron. Anyways, Amazement engine. So basically, Amazement engine revolves around this card right here, the Amazement Horror House, where you can target one Amazement monster you control or a monster your opponent controls, and one face-up monster your opponent controls, and equip this card to it. You can activate the following effect based on which player controls the equipped monster. You can target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of this turn. Or, if it's your opponent, you can change the monster to face-down defense position. So either when you equip it to, it has a good effect. It's either a Book of Moon or a Monster Negate. And you can search it out from the deck with the boss monster, which can summon itself from your hand if you activate a trap card. Hi, DuelLogs. It is absolutely top tier. We're going to put it right next to Aleister, because it's kind of bad. Bad because it's a trap card? It's more like trap decks don't need engines. It's only really useful in trap decks. It is an engine that exists. You can use it. It will benefit you, but there's better things to use. This is a ranking. We're ranking them amongst other things. Once we get to the good ones, then you guys will see why these things are being ranked this way. Anyways, next up we have the artifacts. As an engine, they're very good. They got one of their cards banned. We have to put this one at like B tier because, you know, you can't do it anymore. He is so dumb. No, I'm actually very smart and intelligent. My IQ is like whatever high IQ is. Next up, we have the Bamboo Engine. The Bamboo Engine is an engine of cards which is very popular in FTK decks because they allow you to draw a ton of cards. I mean, a heck ton of cards, because that's going on YouTube and we can't cuss on YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube. Please don't demonetize me. I need your money. And then it's been kind of used also in like Dark Warrior combos too. So stop saying cuss words in chat. I'm gonna have to cut this out. I'm going to tell my editors, who I don't pay anything to, like, you know, blur this out. So anyways, Bamboo Engine is very good for FTK decks. Where does that put it at? I want to say B tier. This is a Christian stream? Yeah, it is a Christian stream. You hacking hackers. B tier or C tier? I'm thinking, I don't know. It seems like it could be C because it's only useful in incredibly specific decks that are not competitive, to be honest. But it is more useful than Aleister. It is more useful than these other cards, especially since it doesn't see play in too many like competitive decks, but it doesn't really have to because it's so useful in FTK decks. Like if you wanted to play Ghostrick FTK, this could help you out. Can you also mention how many cards are in the engine? For the Bamboo Engine, it is exactly 3 Cursed Bamboo Swords, 1 normal Bamboo Sword, and 3 Golden Bamboo Swords. However, TCG has a new card which allows you to search them out, which adds 3 more cards to the engine. So in Master Duel, it is a 7-card engine, but in TCG, it is a 10-card engine, which is pretty good. I can't wait for that card to go in Master Duel because I can do more FTK decks. Anyways, next up we have Deep Sea Diva. Deep Sea Diva has the effect to special summon another copy of itself from the deck, or a level 3 or lower Sea Serpent monster, which it itself is. That's why it summons another copy of itself from the deck. You can use this with some other cards in order to end on a Chengying who can't be targeted by monster effects. Or when Halki Fibrax was around, it was a 1-card Halki Fibrax combo. We'll put it in D tier. It's alright. It takes your normal summon. And if you're going to use a normal summon, might as well play the adventure engine, you know? Next up, we have the Danglong Engine. This card was recently unbanned in the TCG because it's so good. Basically what happens is you bring this card out. It is a generic level 5 synchro monster. It searches out an Omni Negate, which allows you to go into another negate as long as you play 3 Garnets in your deck. and you have a way to go into level 5 monster. You know, 2 negates for the cost of a single level 5 synchro. That's pretty good. We'll put it in C tier. Mainly because there's not a lot of decks that can do that, and you do have to play 3 Garnets. That's a lot. If you draw into any of them, they're useless. It is an absolutely terrible amount of Garnets you have to play. If they all happen to stay in your deck, that's great. It's amazing. But you still can only play it in very specific types of decks. It plays into nibs so hard. It sure does, bestie. Terabyte, who is an excellent mod, by the way, and I'm glad to see them in chat. Next up, we have the Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. I think we have our first S tier, guys. This engine is so good. I literally had to stop using it because it kept winning all of my duels for me. Basically, what this engine does is, if you can get 2 effect monsters on the board in Master Duel, you can go into Vertex. And then you get this card on the board, and it has the effect at quick effect speed, where you can destroy 2 cards in the field, one on your side and one just on the field anywhere else. It doesn't have to be on your opponent's field. And it also does not target exactly. And also it has an effect where if this card is destroyed by battle or any card effect, you can special summon a Destiny Hero monster from your graveyard during the next standby phase, which includes your opponent's. So the combo with this card is to destroy itself and one of your opponent's cards at quick effect speed without targeting, and then come back during your opponent's standby phase and then do it again. So every turn you get a free pop, and it can also dodge effects because it can just destroy itself. So it's really hard to get rid of. Not that good without Celestial? No. You see, the reason why this card doesn't see as much play in Master Duel at the moment is because the Shufflers existed. And then once they limited them, they immediately released the Bestials, which also did the same thing. Graveyard Disruption hurts this card really hard. If you remove this card from the graveyard, it doesn't come back, so you only get 1 pop from it. Without the Shufflers, without the Bestials, this card is so good. And you guys want to know something funny? Those smaller decks don't play those cards. The lesser decks don't even play Shufflers and or Bestials. Hardlight got so far during his Fossil Climb because he could steal it? Yeah, exactly. So it's not really S tier then? Just because the current meta happens to counter its strategy incredibly well does not negate the fact that it's very strong. I'm very smart and intelligent. Give me a second, I'm gonna check my mic. Luckily, all of this will be edited out of the VOD. I'm sorry, I'm normally a professional, but right now I'm doing some troubleshooting. Okay guys, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think my mic is better now. I'm not sure what happened to it. It's better? Cool, I fixed it. I fixed it by turning on Audacity. I'm not sure how that fixed it, but that usually does. I don't know why that fixes it, but it does. Anyways, let's continue for the YouTube VOD clip. Hey everybody, I had to fix my mic, which why is it sounds different now? Okay, let's continue on with this tiered list. Oh, I also have a cough drop in my mouth. I forgot about that. Just ignore that. Anyways, next up we have Diviner of the Herald. So Diviner of the Herald does this thing where it can be used to facilitate the Ishizu cards, but it also can be used as an engine for other things. Namely, in order to send this level 9 fairy to the graveyard, would contribute it to special summon itself from the graveyard, and then activate its tribute effect to special summon a level 2 or lower fairy monster from your deck. So under that context, it's pretty good. It can also be used in order to send the level 4 synchro monster from your extra deck to the graveyard in order to search out any ritual monster or ritual spell card. It can also be used in order to send Ella Entity into Tis to the graveyard during your opponent's turn if you resummon it with Sprite Elf, to be used as a form of disruption during your opponent's turn. This card is pretty good, honestly. It is used so much. Yeah, it helps Drytrons, it helps the Ishizus, it helps niche fairy decks that have level 2 or lower monsters, like a Sulfur-Chords, surprisingly enough. This actually is a Sulfur-Chord card too. Yeah, C tier is probably appropriate for it. It's better than Aleister, garbage card. Next up, we have the Dogmatika engine. Oh my god. So Dogmatikas have this effect where you can special summon themselves from your hand if your opponent controls an extra deck monster, or if you control one too, it doesn't matter. And then it can search a card. However, for the rest of the turn, you can't summon from the extra deck. So not every deck can play it, because the best cards to summon also restrict you from using from the extra deck, which is usually Maximus and Fleur-de-Lis. Maximus can summon itself from your hand by banishing any extra deck monster from your graveyard. It has the effect where it forces both players to send 2 different named monsters from the extra deck to the graveyard, which is ridiculous advantage. If you send Garura and you can send like an Atis to destroy something, or you can send some other cards in the graveyard, because like all the branded fusion monsters search during the end phase, it's basically like a +2. And you can also search out Fleur-de-Lis for a negate which also gives you a big body on the board. It's kind of like a Bestial, but it does require you to have a Dogmatika monster for the negate to be alive. And also allows you to search out Dogmatika Punishment. Dogmatika Punishment is a trap card, which allows you to send an extract monster to the graveyard in order to target and destroy one of your opponent's monsters that has an attack equal to or less than that monster's. And here's the thing, Dogmatika Punishment is so good that there are some versions of Labyrinth decks where that is the only normal trap card they run, because it's just that amazing. So Dogmatika engine, not half bad, if I do say so myself, as an expert. C tier probably, maybe B? I don't know, I think it's C tier. Nobody uses it. Nobody uses trap cards either. Not even Trap Tricks, not even Labyrinth uses it. You know, Labyrinth uses Punishment way better than Dogmatika. Yeah, Labyrinth uses Punishment better than Dogmatika does. This is C tier. It's pretty good. It's all right. Anyways, next up we have Dotscaper. So, if your X deck is set up for Dotscaper, Dotscaper has the effect where if it is sent to the graveyard or it is banished, it comes back. And then it's a once per duel restriction on both those effects, and it's also only once per turn between both of them. So it can't both go to the graveyard and be banished and activate both of its effects at the same turn. It has to be on subsequent turns, or just different turns. And then it's a once per duel on both of those effects. However, just coming back because it's level 1 Cyberus monster allows you to go into full Dagda DPE combo with getting a Scythe lock, basically. And I have a shorts video explaining how this is done. So anyways, as you understand, the Dotscaper engine is amazing. For a single normal summon from your hand, you just get so much advantage. It doesn't have to be a normal summon, you just have to get it on the board. And you can also use it alongside the Adventure engine, which is the best thing because you don't actually activate the effect of a normal summoned monster, since his effects activate in the graveyard and in the banished pile. Yeah, so unlike Aleister, it's actually useful. However, this combo is literally only possible in Master Duel and nowhere else, because Verte is banned. and Scythe is banned. Genuinely surprised I haven't seen this used more. It's probably because they don't know about it. Look at all these engines you guys probably have never even heard of before. Everyone the mom was DPE Scythe locking? Yeah. So anyways, let's put this one at C tier. No, B tier. We'll put it in B tier next to Dagda, its partner in crime. Next up, we have the Drytron engine. The Drytron engine is a series of cards that allow you to basically bring out any fusion monster. It's like the go-to fusion engine. We'll put it in B tier. If you want to play fusions, no, not fusions, what the hell am I talking about? Ritual monsters. You can just play Drytrons with them and bring it out. The only problem is it's so good that there's no reason to use anything except Herald of Ultimates. You mean rituals? Yes, rituals. Next up, we have the Shaddoll engine. If you have any way to send an extract monster from your extract to the graveyard, you can send Shaddoll Apkallone. And Shaddoll Apkallone searches out Shaddoll Schism. And Shaddoll Schism can use it from the graveyard plus another dark monster in order to go into the floodgate. And pretty much every deck plays dark monsters. You can just play like hand traps of dark monsters. You can play extra deck monsters of dark monsters. It's real easy to dark monster in the graveyard. So it allows you to turn extra deck mill into a floodgate. All you have to do is just play one Garnet in your deck, which is Shaddoll Schism. We'll put this one in C tier. It does require you to play quite a bit of Garnets in your, not Garnets. It does take up a lot of extra deck space because you have to use at least 2 monsters. Sometimes more, because a lot of times people also play Shaddoll Construct because it's just decent, I guess. Next up, we have Eldlich. Did you guys know Eldlich is an engine? A lot of people who play Master Duel are not aware of this because most people play Eldlich and do it pure. I have never seen so many pure Eldlich decks until I started playing Master Duel. And I was like, are you guys not aware that this is an engine? Why are you playing pure Eldlich? It's basically a way to get out monsters to attack, and you can use them in all kinds of different ways, just as long as you're aware of the restriction of zombie locks. But even with the zombie locks, it's still such a recursive engine that constantly gives you advantage that unless your opponent has any kind of like graveyard hate, they're not going to be able to out advantage you. And it's useful with so many things. Like I remember in the MCS, there was what do they call it? A Fluffle player who was able to use it to great success as a way to get Toy Vendor in the graveyard. Unfortunately, I was aware of the engine properties by constantly battling it. Most people in Master Duel would just play with Floodgates because that's a very effective way to use Eldlich, but like almost nobody was using it as an engine, even though that's its like main purpose. It's an engine, and it's a pretty good engine too. Let's put this one at B tier. Only it might be an A tier engine, honestly. However, it does require a lot of main deck space if you want to go further as an engine. I think B is probably good for it. Like, the amount of engine you can play with the card is entirely dependent on how many you can fit, because you can play as little as just 2 Eldliches and that's it. That's the full engine, because it's a very good card to just play in graveyard decks at mill. But you can also play extras in order to get the Eldlich out and start cycling between their cards, because they do search out other copies. So you can't just play like 3 copies of the trap card that summons it from the deck, because you also would have to play some of like the trap monsters to search them out, because they search out each other, not themselves. Yeah, you could also get rid of your floodgates too. I think B tier is probably good enough. Are there any engines that only require extra deck monsters? No. Most of them require at least 1 main deck monster. 1 main deck card. Speaking of which, is Runic on here? No, I forgot about Runic. I think Runic would probably be an A tier, maybe an S tier engine, if I remembered it existed. Anyways, next up we have the Ghostrick engine. Let's put this in A tier. So the Ghostrick engine converts any 2 level 1 monsters, 2 level 2 monsters, or 2 level 3 monsters into a Utopic Draco Future, which is a very good boss monster. That makes it so it has a monster negate, which can also steal a card permanently if it negates a monster's effect on the field. It also can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. So it's really hard to get rid of, because most ways you get rid of unstoppable boss monsters, negate boss monsters, excuse me, is to destroy them by battle or the card effect. So it's actually incredibly hard to out. However, it does require a lot of extra deck space to play. And it only works with levels 1s, 2s, and 3 monsters. And also, the level 2s have to be able to go into a rank 4 monster. So if there wasn't like the level lock with Sprite, it would be probably a decent addition to that. But you are level locked with Sprite, so you can't actually do the Ghostrick engine. And you do have to play a single Garnet, but that's it. 1 Garnet is so amazing for getting Utopic Draco Future on the board. So if you can manage 2 level 1s, 2 level 2s, or 2 level 3s, and you don't mind playing 3 extra deck monsters and 1 Garnet, then, no, not 3. Utopic Draco Future is also 2 more. It takes up 5 of your extra deck spaces. That's literally a third of your extra deck in order to play the Ghostrick engine. Plus 1 brick. That's why people don't do it, because most people need their extra deck. They can't afford 5 spots going to this engine. However, if you can afford it, it's pretty good. It's very good, actually. Yeah, Sprite has no place for it. And they also just can't do it because it requires them to go into Angel of Mischief. That's horrible. However, if you can accommodate it, because most of the space is in the extra deck, and not every deck needs their extra deck, then it's very good. Next up, we have the Graydle engine. I have a video on this one. So basically, it just gives you discard fodder, and that's it. However, it's discard fodder that's very hard to brick with, because the cards search themselves out, which are some of the best ways to do this. We'll put this in D tier. Technically, not super useful for like anything. Next up, we have the Candles. I forget what these are called. Impcantations, I believe. So the Impcantations are used with ritual decks in order to go into ritual summons.
However,
they stopped seeing play once Drytrons came out because they're better. We'll put them in C tier. No, we'll put them in D tier above Aleister. I mean, excuse my tough language. Then we have the Kaiju engine. So Kaijus as an engine don't really exist anymore. They mainly just played as like one-ofs in order to stop stuff. Back in the day, Kaijus were used more as an engine. So we'll add the Kaiju engine at like D tier, just because, you know, in the old days it used to be an engine, not really anymore. But they are still played. They're just not used as an engine, you know? Nobody's using Interrupted Kaiju Slumber anymore, which destroys all cards in the field and special summons a different named Kaiju from your deck to both players' fields. And also those monsters must attack, if able. Next up, we have the face cards. Did you guys know this is an engine? The face cards have a restriction where you can't special summon from the extra deck during the turn you use the effect of this card, except if it's a light warrior monster specifically.
however,
You use 1 card in your hand to discard 1 other card from your hand. Then you basically get 3 monsters on the board without using your normal summon. So it's a way to get 3 monsters on the field with a lock to your extra deck, which isn't a full lock. You can still summon monsters, just only very specific ones. So if you're not using your extra deck anyway, then it's basically a way to get 3 cards on the board for like a god card summon, which is what they were made for. And also, one of the things that makes this actually pretty decent is the fact that the card returns itself to your hand during the end phase. So you do have to discard to use the effect, but you get 3 cards on the board, and then it comes back to your hand during the end phase. So basically, it's like a +3 in card advantage. I think a +2. It's a very good recursive engine.
however,
It can just be Ash Blossomed, and you just go -2. Also, you have to play a bunch of bricks in your deck for it. And also, there's that extra deck lock. Yeah, it takes up a lot of main deck spaces. Yeah, this isn't going to go anywhere except for D tier. It technically is an engine that can be used in very specific decks, and it's pretty decent. But it's not decent enough when you have all these other better ones that exist. But if you really want to play a god card deck and you're like, how do I get 3 monsters on the board for my Winged Dragon of Ra? This is an option. This is an option that exists and can actually be very beneficial to you. Next up, we have the Ishizu engine. You know an engine's good when all of their cards are hit on the ban list. This is S tier. The Ishizu engine allows you to do 2 things. 1, mill your deck without your normal summon. 2, it allows you to have quick effect speed to shuffle 3 cards from the graveyards back into the deck, from the graveyard. So if you get a shuffler into the graveyard, you basically have a hand trap that's always live, that is better than all current hand traps that's interacting with the graveyard. The shufflers are so ridiculously broken that it's kind of crazy. They also have very good millers as well. And also Kelbank is just a hand trap that bounces for no reason. It is like one of the best engines ever made. Do Bestials count as an engine? They do, I just forgot about them. Anyways, next up we have the Magician Souls engine. I think this is an A tier engine. It has had so much historic play over there. Magician Souls is a card that allows you to send a level 6 or higher spellcaster from your deck to the graveyard to special summon it. Then it has the effect on the field where you can send 2 spell traps that you control or in your hand to the graveyard to draw 2 cards, or up to 2. It doesn't have to be 2. Or in Dark Magician decks, you can use it to summon Dark Magician from your deck. And once they release the the ritual monster that can search it out, it was a lot more consistent. It was already seen a whole bunch of play before then. So it is just an excellent engine. If your deck can use it, it'll probably have tons of benefits for it. Yeah, Illusion of Chaos is its main partner in crime. And you can also search out Illusion of Chaos. So the card can be searched out with Illusion of Chaos, which can put itself back into the deck so you can send it to the graveyard with its effect. And also Illusion of Chaos can be searched out with Preparation of Rites. So you have 3 cards that can search out the Searcher. So basically the engine is like 9 cards, and 6 of them just search it out. Two-Tone got second place with this MCS. Yeah, Two-Tone has definitely used this to success. It is a very good engine, almost S tier. I'm just putting it in A tier because I think DPE and Ishizu's are just better, you know? Like DPE got Verte banned in the OCG and TCG. It can also be searched with Rare Harp now, I guess, if you wanna do that. I just looked up the face card engine is only really good for Utopia deck if you don't want to use it in the God card deck, but any Rainforest spam can do it. It can also be used with, surprisingly enough, you can use it with Exorcisters because all their extract monsters are light warriors. It's kind of funny. It's not good with Exorcisters. Exorcisters are fine on their own. They don't need it, but you can use it with Exorcisters. What about Punk? Oh, I forgot about Punk too. I thought you couldn't curse. I don't curse. I'm a pure Christian boy. This is a Christian Minecraft stream. I'm Jesus' strongest soldier, and I don't even know how to cuss. I've never even heard of breastises before. So, we have Numerons as an engine. Numerons, if you want to get 4 bodies on the board without using cards in your deck, you use Numerons. You know how I said the face engine is really good at getting 3 bodies on the board? Well, Numeron can do that even better because you get 4 bodies on the board and it doesn't take up your normal summon. And it doesn't take up any extra deck space. I don't hear curse, I only hear Pomus. I should have a Pomu censor. First time watching you here swear was crazy. I would never say curse word before. I'm a pure Christian boy, pure Christian Minecraft server. So, anyways, the Numeron thing is very good because also the engine itself can just win you the game on its own because each monster, when it attacks, the field spell allows you to make it so they can use their effects without getting Xyz materials. So the first one attacks and it doubles the attacks of all the others, so they go from 1,000 to 2,000. The second one attacks and then it can double the attack of all the others, so they go from 2,000 to 4,000. Then with the other 2, they can also attack and do the same thing. They go to 8,000 and then 16,000, not 16,000. Is it 16,000? Yeah, it's 16,000. So they can hit for massive amounts of damage. And also they can be used in order to go into just a 4-material Appaloosa, or you can go into the rank 3 infinite track monster, which is really good. And also you can use them to go into a god card if you want. If you want to make a god card deck, Numeron is the engine to use. I'm debating between B and C. I think this is a B tier engine, but is it as good as Eldlich or Drytron? I don't think so. Maybe. C tier? I think it is a C tier, honestly. Only because the other ones are just a little bit better. But it can win on its own. Yeah, we'll put it in B tier. I do think this is probably B tier because it is an engine that can literally win you the game on its own. And it is in fact the main win condition of Numeron decks, which is probably one of the best ways to rank up in Master Duel. Giving you a free Avermax should make it a high C/low B. Yeah, it's very good. I didn't even know you can go into Avermax. I've never seen that. But you're right, Avermax is 2+ monsters special summon from the extra deck, and the Numerons are special summoned from the extra deck. A dope S tier engine? I don't know about S tier. okay? If we're gonna move things around, I would probably move Drytron to a higher tier. Next up, we have, oh my god, Phantom Sky Blaster. Have you guys ever heard of this engine before? So the Phantom Sky Blaster has an effect where if you normal summon this card, you can summon a number of tokens equal to the amount of monsters you control. So if you simply get one other monster on the board first, then you can summon 2 tokens. If you have 2 other monsters on the board, then you get 3 tokens, a full board. So if you combine this with Tenyis, you know, they have a monster in the extra monster zone, and then just one of their Tenyis, and then you normal summon this, that's 3 tokens. That's 6 cards on the board from a single Tenyi engine plus this. The advantage is insane, but it's a normal summon effect, which means you could just use the adventure engine instead. It was also limited to 1 because that was a lot of advantage. It is technically an engine, but it's a 1-card engine too. You don't need anything else, but it does require your normal summon. Your normal summon is kind of like, has to be compared to the adventure engine, sadly. So we're gonna put this one in D tier. Next up, we have the Assault Mode engine. The Assault Mode engine allows you to go into any generic synchro monster from level 6 to 9. Anyways, Assault Mode engine is awesome. Let's put it in C tier. Yeah, it's pretty decent. It's like, hey, do you really want to go into a level 6 to 9 synchro monster? This exists. Bricky as hell? Yeah, it is pretty bricky. It also can be done without your normal summon too, which is why it's out of D tier, because you can use emergency teleport to go into it. If you got 1-for-1, most people don't play 1-for-1 because it's like terrible ash bait. Like you can use it with 1-for-1 too. I just kind of forgot because most people don't play it anymore. It loses so hard to Ash Blossom. I should make shorts videos for literally all of these. I need to make, a shorts video for all these engines so I could have showed them for every single part. Anyways, we have the Scrap engine. Do you guys know how the Scrap engine works? So the Scrap engine is basically you normal summon Scrap Raptor, and then you send the card to the graveyard, and then you go into Scrap Chimera, and then you use that to summon out Scrap Garbage Dude, and you bring it back, and then you use Rostrix from the graveyard to get a token, and use all those materials to go into Auroradon, and then you combo off from there. Play Vern Scrapped? Yeah, it's an engine that exists. I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's pretty good, but so are these other ones. Let's put it a little bit higher than everything else. It's like the king of D tier. It is just so good that it's basically C tier. 1 second. I'll be right back.
Many minutes later.
I smelled something burning, so I had to go check what it was. But it was just my brother cooking. Anyways, where were we at? Oh right, Shiranui Solitaire. I thought the cat did it. Nah, I was just cooking stuff. So here's how this engine works. You normal summon Solitaire. Then you use Solitaire in order to go into Unizombie. Then you use Unizombie in order to send Mezuki to the graveyard to increase its level to 4. Then you use Mezuki in the graveyard in order to bring back Solitaire, and you use both of them to go into Omega. And then Omega during the standby phase will reset Mezuki to the graveyard, which allows you to basically bring out another card your next turn. It's kind of slow in the modern age. We're put it in D tier. It's not an engine anymore just because it's way too slow. I don't think even zombie decks use it because it's too slow for them. But this was an engine that existed. It's just a very slow one, which has been power crept because modern zombie decks are just way more faster. It's so sad seeing Aleister at D, and it's true. See, someone gets it.
Anyways.
Next up, we have the Sky Striker engine. Do you guys know how the Sky Striker engine works? Basically, what you do is you use Mobilize Engage in order to search out Hornet Drones, and use Hornet Drones in order to bring out Kagari, then use Kagari to add it back to your hand, and you use it to bring it back out. And then you have 2 materials for Link monsters without using your normal summon. And also, if you have more spell cards in your graveyard, you also get +1 advantage. It's a pretty decent engine for getting cards on the board. It's just like, what deck needs 2 random cards? You can use them going to Verte. Let's put this one in, I think this is an A tier one, honestly. I think the Sky Striker engine is A tier, just because Mobilize Engage, while doing the engine, you also just get to draw a card for free, if you have the required spells in the graveyard. This list is incorrect and I refuse to elaborate. Anyways, next up we have Tenyis. Tenyis as an engine. Is Tier Limit an engine? No. Tenyis as an engine allows you to, with Vishuda, special summon a monster from your hand, go into a Link 1, and then bounce 1 card your opponent controls, which can be a Floodgate. And since it activates in the graveyard, it goes under a lot of Floodgates. So basically, you get to bounce one of your opponent's cards while getting a free body on the board. It was an excellent engine before that became slow. Honestly, modern decks are so redunculously fast that just getting a free body with a bounce is not that big a deal anymore. A high B, I'm gonna put this one in C tier. It's just kind of slow nowadays. Mr. Logs, were you too lazy to find Vishuda? No, I could find Vishuda. I just thought Vishuda was a good representation of it. because it's also used very heavily in Sword Soul because, you know, Ashuna also allows them to do stuff. Anyways, next up we have the Toy Vendor engine. Have you guys ever heard of this one? Basically, you can use Toy Vendor to draw some cards. It's not very good. We're gonna put a D tier. I made Leah add this to her deck in order to nerf it when she was gonna go against Nova. It's technically an engine, but it's not a very good one. Next up, we have the Adventure engine. Oh my god, guys, the Adventure engine. I remember when this first came out, people were like, whoa. Adventure is the culmination of power creep of the game. The fact that they released the Adventure engine as is just makes it like, you know, the game has just entered a new era. People are gonna remember the game as pre-Adventure engine and then post-Adventure engine. That's how amazing the card was when it was first came out. You guys know me too well. We're gonna put this in A tier. You guys are just like, shut the fuck up. Just put it in A or B tier already. Stop hyping it up. You see, all of that is true. What I said was true.
However,
Listen closely. Shortly after, they released Sprite, and then Tier Limits, and then the Ishizu engine, and people were like, yeah, Adventure sucks. We thought that was going to power creep the game. No, Sprite is so much better. I think Sprite is technically an engine too, for like level 2 decks. And then Tier Limits came out, and people were like, oh my god, literally the strongest archetype ever. It puts Adventure engine to shame. Nobody in TCG plays it. It's so much. Yeah, nobody plays it anymore. Elf is the engine, Sprite is an engine because Elf is banned. No, like, yeah, Sprite is technically an engine. You have to play with other level 2 monsters. Like, you never see a pure Sprite deck. In fact, pure Sprite decks have a mix of frogs and nymphs in them, which is hilarious. That Sprite is technically an engine. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Sprite would go up there like an S tier. And then finally, we have the Windwitch engine. Oh my god, guys. Let me tell you about the Windwitch engine. The Windwitch engine allows you to get a level 8 synchro monster negate. I forget what it's called, but it doesn't even use your normal summon for it. However, it does lock you into only being able to summon wind synchro monsters. Well, I think it's just wind monsters from your deck. So it does extra deck lock you, but it doesn't use your normal summon. But it does use a whole bunch of main deck bricks, so D tier. Oh my god, guys, we did it. We've done it. We've created the perfect pyramid. You got Crystal Wing Turbo. Yeah, Crystal Wing Dragon. This is the engine tier list. However, we are missing 4 engines. There is, sorry, I don't think in words, so it takes me a while. Runic, oh, Vern. Oh my god, Vern is there too. Yeah, so Runic would be probably S tier. Not Despians. The Bestials would be S tier. The Vernus Lifts would be A tier. And Punk would be A tier. Runic engine for A tier, losing your battle phase is, yeah, it is. That's why I only put it at A tier. Wait, did I say A tier or S tier? I don't remember. Honestly, I don't know about Runic. Runic takes up a lot of space. I would say it's either S or A tier. Therion's, oh yeah, Therion's an engine too. That would be an A tier engine. You said S tier? Well, it could be S tier too. It's really good. Therion's, yeah, so I may have missed a few engines. You know, don't yell at me. I'm only human, very famous human. So anyways, this is the best engines tier list. However, it is missing Runics, Bestials, Dangers, Sprites, Therions, Punks, Lunalite, Vernuslift, Zodiac, Brilliant Fusion, Terratop, Symphonic, Predaplant, Rockets, Mathmech, Kashtira, Super Heavy Samurais, Frog, Nimble, Spriggan, Rescue Rabbit, Neospacians, Gadgets, and the Rose Dragons. Perform Pal. Oh yeah, the Perform Pal engine. Isn't Scareclaw also? Yeah, I have that on there. Mystic Shineball. Mystic Shineball's an engine. Okay, and that's everything. Tour Guide as an engine? I guess technically it is. It's an old ass one. Draco Slayer's an engine? Stop recommending things that I missed. You guys are making me not look cool. Infinite Track? That is an Earth Machine engine technically. Access code to Selene? You can't do that anymore since they banned Halki Fibrax. But, I mean, maybe. Black Dragon? No. Thanks for tuning to part 1, YouTube. Part 2. Yeah. Thanks for tuning into part 1. Into Zeus? No, Zeus isn't an engine. It's like an N-board piece. Don't worry, I have everything now. Mr. Metal Ordinary, I'm sorry Mr. Logs did this to you. Don't worry, you guys won't see this for like another 2 months anyway. This is my best engines video, part 1.